Good afternoon, folks. I'll be very brief. I will take some questions. The task that was at hand today for the Commonwealth was to present enough evidence to show the court that the charges should be held. That was done, in my opinion, very smoothly. The judge was able to hear the testimony, review the evidence, and come to a very quick and decisive decision here. We're not surprised by that. As I said, that was a subset of all the evidence we have. I'm not here to discuss all the evidence. I'm not here to debate the case. Despite what you may have just heard, we're not in the courtroom. I am not going to make a closing argument to you. There'll be a day for that and a time for that. Today is not it. Are there any questions?
One of the criticisms of Mr. Curley's testimony is that he minimized it in the retelling to Coach Paterno and also to his father to some extent. What can you tell us about the details that might come later from Coach Paterno specifically that might do more to support McCreary's testimony?
Two things. The word minimize was a word used by the defense. I don't agree that it minimized anything. What he told her, if you reported that later, was that there were certain crude words in the English language that he wasn't going to use as part of his description to Coach Paterno, out of respect to Coach Paterno, but that he did, in fact, describe the nature of what he saw. So I disagree with that characterization. I don't believe he minimized it all. I think he chose not to use a couple of crude words that he didn't think was appropriate for someone he respected. Secondly, on the second part of your question, remember, and if you don't remember, go back and read the transcript. Coach Paterno, when he testified on the road, prefaced his testimony that he was only giving at that time a summary of the details that he was told. So Coach Paterno was never asked yet on the record that's been made public as to what details Mike McCreary gave him, although he intimated that there were, since he told the grand jury that he was only giving them a summary of it. And even in that summary, it was clear to Coach Paterno that we were talking about an inappropriate act that was of a sexual nature, something that was denied by both defendants under oath. Just to follow up on something that the counsel said, perjury is not this mystical, magical crime that we've never seen before, although they'd like to make the public believe that. Perjury's been around for centuries, and it's very simple. It's when you lie under oath. Most 6 or 7-year-olds understand what it is to tell the truth or to lie. When you put your hand on the Bible in a court proceeding and promise not to do so, most people understand what that crime is. It's not that complicated. In terms of corroboration, you need a witness. You don't need more than one witness. You need a witness, and that witness needs to be corroborated by evidence, not necessarily by another witness or by testimony. So that's what the law is. I don't want to get too inside baseball at this point in time, but it's not some mystical, magical crime that we all have difficulty explaining, understanding, and proving. It could be proven very easily.
Mr. Costanzo, in that he did not use words like anal rape or sodomy, and he said that he had too much respect for Paterno to do that, doesn't he fail to fully tell Paterno, Curley, and Schultz exactly what he saw, as accurately as he possibly can, which may have prompted action on their part?
You're asking me whether or not their inaction is appropriate.
I'm asking you if, by his failure to use sodomy and anal rape, that he failed to accurately describe exactly what he saw.
You're asking me if we should be blaming Mike McCreary for every other adult's failure to act in this case. I would say personally, no. My opinion really doesn't count much. You could report it as it happened. Mike McCreary told all of you in open court today what he said, how specific he was, who he told it to, and what he believed was going to happen. If you want to criticize it, and you think there's people out there to criticize it, I'm not going to dispute it. I think it's a sad, sad, sad day when you think about all of these victims, and you just got your first taste of it today, and you saw the inaction by a number of very supposedly important, responsible adults, and there was a lot of inaction in this case. And that's all part of the ongoing investigation in this
Do you
case.
think McCreary should have called the police?
That's not for me to say, and I'm not here to debate that.
Mark, why was the decision, I'm sorry, Dr. Dranoff's testimony was not relevant at this stage for further beginning?
It was not required by us in order to prove a prima facie case, so that's why we didn't get into it. And in that we did not open the door to it or get into it, it's not appropriate for cross-examination at this point in time. If somebody wants to call Dr. Dranoff at trial, of course, either side would be able to do that. Question here.
Is there any validity to reserve Coach Paterno's testimony giving in the date and detail?
We fully expect to have testimony from Coach Paterno at some point in time. So whether or not it's going to be in court, live, he's going to be doing well, I hope. That's a possibility. And if we have to take other actions that are appropriate under the law, we'll do that as well. It's too early to say. Of course, we hope it gets well.
Do you have any concerns about some of the emails that have become public from Mike McCreary or that statement? Maybe, I don't know if you want to get into the Dr. Dranoff testimony, but do you have any concerns about a wavering statements by Mike McCreary?
Wavering is your word. Whatever is out there, I'm sure if it's admissible in court at trial, it will be brought out. Mr. McCreary will be called upon to respond to it and explain it, and at the appropriate time, we'll all hear what he has to say.
Do you feel like you know who victim number 2 is?
At this point in time, we still have 2 victims that are not definitively identified. Whether or not we have some idea, we might know. I'm not going to get into that, but I can tell you they are not definitively identified. We're not ready to make that call.
So victim number 2 is not definitively identified?
Not at this time.
Can you comment on how Mike McCreary did on the stand today?
No, I'm not going to comment on how witnesses do. I don't comment on credibility. I don't believe it's appropriate. So if I'm going to criticize other lawyers for doing it, I shouldn't do it. Okay. Question in the back?
He found the boy, or you know who the boy was that conducted the shower?
At this point in time, we have not definitively identified that victim. Yes.
What is the next step for the next trial date?
Yeah, I did not hear what announced in court, but we will get an arraignment date. It will be a formal arraignment wherein we file our official charges. And we'll also start the discovery process as normal at that point. That starts to run 30 days for the defense to file any pretrial motion.
So there were any plea agreements discussed?
In this case, no, sir. Anything else?
Hey, Mark. Do you agree with McCreary's characterization that when he was speaking to Schultz, he felt like he was speaking to a DA or a police official?
Do I agree whether or not that's what he felt? I mean, I couldn't tell you how someone else feels, so.
Sorry, do you agree that he wasn't speaking to someone like a DA or a police official?
Well, what I believe really isn't that important. He was talking to someone that he believed oversaw the police department at Penn State University. That's what he said. You can draw your own conclusion. You know what he is. You heard what he is. You heard the evidence. You can draw your conclusion. The general public can draw a conclusion. My conclusion is really irrelevant. Doesn't really matter.
But I mean, is that a theory for cases that he did report?
It's not a theory of our case at all. He was, whether he reported it to police, perceived police, real or not, is not part of the elements of any of the crime in this case, so I'm not too worried about it.
Have you asked him why he didn't go into the shower and break that up? That why he didn't walk in and make it go away?
I haven't asked him any questions, and whether or not our office has asked other witnesses other questions, what they've said, I'm not going to get into that.
Has your team asked him? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I'm not going to get into that. I'm not answering your questions today. Anything else?
Mark.
Last question.
What kind of preparation, if any, was there to make Mr. McCreary comfortable with the room and the crowd?
I'm sure that he was prepped in some manner. I'm not familiar with it, so I'm not going to comment because I don't know.
Hey, Joseph.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Statements that have been out there about the hearing, as we know,
I've already answered the question. I'm not worried about it. If there are inconsistent statements, if someone can produce them, I'm sure the witness will be confronted with them, and he will have to answer about it.